The 16th round of boundary talks, border talks were held between the special representatives from India and China in Beijing. But interesting were the developments. Mr. Rajan, I would like to start with you here. How crucial do you think have been the border talks here between India and China?
I don't think crucial would be the right word to describe it. It has been a very long process with not very easily identifiable progress, and I think the reason for that is that the
started with 2003 when Vajpayee visited China. So right now we have around 16 rounds of talks. Now I tell you, it seems now the emphasis has there could be substantial progress, one can't say, because
there are other factors, as Mr. Bansal was also talking about. Maybe it is too much a daunting task for these countries to resolve this dispute now, which we all know will not be resolved tomorrow, and which is why, therefore, it has been kept on the back burner.
Yes.
What is your take?
No, I agree with that point, sure. You see, it's too complex an issue resolved, anytime soon. That is, out of question. However, what is important, as has been stressed by other panelists also, that
and is this some sort of a sign of the maturity that probably these countries are showing?
my own feeling is that both the countries must summon the necessary political will and the courage to.
In public forum, please stay tuned for more on the other side. Welcome back to Public Forum. In Public Forum today we are talking about India-China ties. Spending of both the countries, Mr. Bansal, that is something which excites both the sides, in fact, I would say. The kind of military spending that India does, the kind of China hikes. What would you like to say about that?
See, China larger than India as on date, and I think China is spending considerably larger than India. But again, please understand, to some not everything that is used up for defense is shown in the defense budget. If you see, the PLAs generally are overhyped. If you look at the Korean War, they have really not won a war, because the Sino-Indian conflict is not really called a. Chinese don't even consider it as a war, and it was at best in skirmish. Their conflict forces really cry about it, though they would publicly not say so. But the fact is, Chinese locomotives grounded the Pakistani railways, and even today, when you meet during the track do dialogues, the Pakistani officials, they really crib about the Chinese equipment. So it's an overhyped thing. I personally feel it makes sense for India to wait, bid its time. I think our defense capability
shown as the proper military expenditure. So it is difficult to, and moreover, I look at even if the Chinese expenditure on their major adversary is not India but USA. So they have to get defense preparedness accordingly. So that pointed out, so far their economy has been export-oriented economy. This is a domestic-driven economy, and now they have realized they are trying to induce domestic demand so that economy can be more resilient like India's economy. Then now the thrust is, in fact, the emphasis on. Secondly, they are also now putting emphasis, I think, which didn't happen earlier. Now there is an increasing emphasis on improving the. In fact, one thing they admire about India, and which they want to learn from India, is the
it won't be called as balance. It's certainly imbalance. It's imbalance on our side because much of the benefit is going towards Chinese side. We want to make it touch the level of $100 billion. But looking at these aspects, why do you think that even at the diplomatic level,
touched very seriously, and the Chinese, including during the visit of their Prime Minister. At the moment, I have a feeling that the relationship is not really a very, very important factor. The stability of relations between the two countries, because the Chinese don't really sell to us, but they don't depend. It's a very small fraction of, for example, what they sell to other countries. At full speed in sharing with China all that we enjoy in fields like IT and so on and so forth, because our interests would seem to lie more in diversifying our relations with other countries, Australia, South Korea, Japan, etc., etc., in expanding our linkages beyond countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar, and so on.
That I asked Professor Chakrabarti, that is, if the two countries unite, and the unity can only be, I mean, let's say friends, they have to be equals. So unite, at least on this economy and energy front, if the two countries come together, they will be certainly calling the shots in the global arena.
I agree. Let's not forget that this phrase, Asian century, is supposed to have been coined when that is true in theory, and it is really for the two countries now to move in that direction. But that with the border issue being unresolved, and with
back after this very short break. Today's edition of Public Forum, we are talking about India-China ties. Right, in this segment, let's talk about the closeness that China shares with Pakistan, or India shares with US, which in fact creates ripples on both sides. We'll start with you, Mr. Rajan. How
I agree, that it is possible to overemphasize the Chinese activities in our neighborhood are very often intended to provoke us and to ignore our sensitivity. They are going out of their way to give comfort to all our neighboring countries, which should cause us some worry. Partly it's of course a result of our own shortcomings, but this is something that